Picture this. You're at dinner. Maybe it's a celebration, so you ordered the steak, or maybe you're just, I don't know, tearing into a really crusty piece of sourdough bread.
Mm-hmm.
You're laughing, talking, and then you bite down. You hear it before you feel it.
The crack.
The crack. Or maybe it's not that dramatic. Maybe it's just a dull, persistent ache that's been haunting you for months, a tooth that's been patched and filled, until finally the dentist gives you that look and says the words nobody wants to hear. It has to come out.
It really is the universal dental nightmare, losing a part of yourself. And for a long time, the solutions were pretty medieval. You either lived with the gap or you wore something that just sat on top of your gums.
Exactly. But we aren't living in the medieval era. We are in the age of bioengineering. So today we are doing a deep dive into dental implants.
Right.
We're going to strip away the glossy brochures and the perfect smile marketing to figure out what actually happens when you drill a piece of metal into a human jawbone. Because when you look at the process, it is wild.
It sounds aggressive when you put it that way, doesn't it? Drilling metal into bone.
Well, looking at our source material for today, which includes patient education files from Carey Family Dental and some pretty heavy technical breakdowns, it is aggressive. I mean, it's effective, but it's intense.
It is.
We're going to look at the engineering, the biology, and, the risk.
And importantly, why this isn't just about filling a gap in your smile. It's really about the structural preservation of your entire face.
Before we fire up the drill, I have to drop the necessary disclaimer. While we're diving deep into medical scripts and technical data, this audio overview was generated using AI for educational purposes by Carey Family Dental. This does not replace a consultation with a dentist.
Please don't.
Do not, I repeat, do not try to install a titanium screw in your own mouth based on our conversation.
Please leave the power tools in the garage. This requires a slightly more sterile environment.
So let's start with the hardware itself. I was looking at the technical diagrams in our source material, and honestly, if you showed me this image without any context, I'd assume it was for Home Depot. It's a screw, a literal threaded metal screw.
That's the first thing people have to get over. When patients say implant, they're usually picturing the white, curly tooth, the crown.
The part you see.
Exactly. But the implant, strictly speaking, is just the anchor. It's a precision milled post that goes entirely below the gum line.
So the implant itself is completely invisible once it's in.
Correct. It replaces the root, not the crown. And the root is kind of the unsung hero of your mouth. Everyone cares about the white part, but the root is the foundation buried in the bone. We are essentially performing biomimicry. We're manufacturing an artificial root to trick the body into thinking the tooth is still there.
You mentioned the material earlier. The sources all highlight titanium and titanium alloys as the gold standard. Why that specific metal? Is it just that it's strong?
It's not just about strength. It's about a property called biocompatibility.
Biocompatibility. Okay.
Titanium has this unique, almost magical ability to coexist with living tissue without the body freaking out. If you put stainless steel in the bone, the body treats it like a splinter, a foreign invader that needs to be expelled.
Right, it tries to push it out.
Exactly. But with titanium, something amazing happens. The body accepts it. The bone cells, the osteoblasts, will actually grow right up to the surface of the metal and latch onto it. It's a process called osseointegration.
Osseointegration. That sounds like a corporate merger.
In a way, it is. It's the merger of biology and engineering. The bone literally fuses to the ridges of that screw.
So that's why the threads are so aggressive looking in the diagram.
Precisely. It's not just to screw it in like a piece of wood. It's to maximize the surface area for the bone to grab onto.
So the screw isn't held in by friction. It's held in because the wood bone grows into the threads.
You got it. Once that integration happens, the implant and the jawbone are effectively one solid fused unit.
The sources do mention a non-metal option, though. Ceramic implants, zirconia.
Yeah, that's a smaller market. It's mainly for patients who might have a rare metal allergy or for people who just, prefer a holistic metal-free approach.
But titanium is the workhorse.
It really is. We just have decades of long-term data showing it works reliably.
Okay, so we've got this high-tech screw. But the sources point out something interesting about versatility. I sort of assumed if I lost 3 teeth, I'd need 3 screws. But that's not always true, is it?
No, and that's where the engineering gets clever. Think of an implant as a concrete piling for a bridge.
Okay.
You don't need a piling every single foot. You just need enough strong pilings to support the load of the road deck.
So 2 implants could support a bridge of, say, 3 or 4 teeth.
Exactly. And you can scale that up. You can support a whole mouthful of teeth on just 4 or 6 implants.
Which brings us to the denture issue. My grandfather had dentures, and I just remember the clicking, the slipping, the adhesive goo. It seemed miserable.
It can be. Traditional dentures are just floating on top of the gums, and the lower jaw is the worst because your tongue is always moving and dislodging it. It's like trying to balance a dinner plate on a waterbed.
That is a terrifying visual, but I get it.
So what the sources describe is using implants to lock that denture down. You place 2 or 4 implants, and the denture literally snaps onto them.
Like a press stud on a jacket.
Yes, and it transforms the quality of life. You go from barely eating mashed potatoes to chewing a steak again without your teeth falling out.
Okay, so the hardware is impressive. I get the engineering. But let's get to the installation, because this is where the reality check comes in.
Yeah.
I was reading the timeline in the procedure docs, and I did a double take. Average of 3 to 6 months.
It is definitely not a quick fix.
That is a long time. Why the lag? If the screw is so strong, why can't we just put a tooth on it right away?
Because right after surgery, you're only relying on mechanical stability, just how tight the screw is. That's not nearly enough to handle chewing forces.
They're pretty powerful.
Incredibly powerful, hundreds of pounds per square inch. So if you bite down too soon,
You'll wiggle the implant.
you'll wiggle it. And think of it like wet concrete. Osseointegration is biological. The bone cells need time to grow and mineralize. If you disturb the post while the concrete is drying, you create a gap. The bone won't fuse.
And the implant fails.
It fails. It gets surrounded by soft tissue instead. So for 3 to 6 months, you are essentially babysitting a healing wound.
The source lists some serious limitations. Careful cleaning, no chewing on that side.
Absolutely. And if you have a temporary denture to hide the gap, it cannot rub on the surgical site. It's a real test of patience. We can speed up manufacturing, but we cannot speed up human biology.
That brings me to the why. Why go through all this? The surgery, the waiting. The sources list alternatives like bridges. Why not just get a bridge?
Yeah.
Faster, right?
It is faster, but there's a huge hidden cost to a bridge. To install one, you need support. And where does that support come from?
Next to the gap.
Right, the adjacent teeth. But you can't just glue a bridge onto them. You have to shave them down.
Shave them down.
You have to take 2 perfectly healthy teeth and grind away their enamel until they're little pegs, just so you can cap them to hold the fake tooth in the middle.
That sounds destructive. You're damaging 2 good teeth to replace 1 missing one.
It is destructive, and if something goes wrong with one of those anchor teeth later decay, a fracture, the whole bridge is lost. The implant is independent. It doesn't touch the neighbors.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about just doing nothing? If I lose a back molar that nobody sees, does it really matter?
That out of sight, out of mind idea is dangerous in dentistry. The mouth is a dynamic system. If you take a book off a bookshelf, what happens to the other books?
They lean, they fall over.
Exactly. Your teeth will drift. The tooth behind the gap tilts forward. The tooth above the gap will super erupt. It will literally grow downwards, looking for something to bite against.
Wait, tooth can grow down.
Yes. And once that happens, your whole bite is ruined. You start getting weird interferences when you chew, which can lead to jaw pain, even headaches. It's a domino effect.
There was another point in the source material about doing nothing that I found kind of disturbing. It talked about bone loss, resorption.
This is the most critical argument for implants. There's a principle in biology: use it or lose it.
Right.
The roots of your teeth transmit chewing force into the jawbone. That force signals the body, hey, we need this bone here, keep it strong. When you pull a tooth, that signal stops. The body says, well, no tooth here, guess we don't need this bone anymore, and it starts to dissolve it.
So your jawbone literally shrinks away.
It recedes, it shrinks. Over many years, this can dramatically change the shape of your face. Your chin gets closer to your nose. You get that collapsed, prematurely aged look. An implant is the only thing that stops it because it replaces the root and restarts that stimulation.
So the implant is basically hacking the body's signaling system.
That's a great way to put it. It's biohacking for preservation.
Okay, you've sold me on the benefits. But we're here for a deep dive, so we need to look at the fine print. The source material is very clear. It is not a magic bullet.
Nothing in medicine ever is.
Let's talk about failure. We mentioned the bone not fusing.
Right, integration failure. Sometimes the body just says no. It's rare. Success rates are well over 95%, but it happens. And certain things increase that risk. Smoking is a huge one. Uncontrolled diabetes, anything that messes with your healing.
But there was a subtler risk in the text that I found fascinating. It's about sensation. The source says, implant-supported restorations do not have the same feeling as a normal tooth.
This is a huge, often overlooked detail. A natural tooth isn't just stuck in the bone. It's suspended by a hammock of ligaments called the periodontal ligament, or PDL.
Okay.
That ligament is packed with nerves. It gives you proprioception feedback. It tells you how hard you're biting.
If I bite on a popcorn kernel,
Your jaw opens reflexively before you even think about it. That's the PDL protecting you. An implant doesn't have a PDL. It is fused directly to the bone. It has no nerves. It is effectively numb to pressure.
so you're flying blind, in a sense.
To an extent, yeah. You can feel pressure in the bone and muscles, but you lose that fine-grained sensitivity. The risk is that you can bite too hard and crack the porcelain or damage the opposing tooth because your body's natural braking system is gone.
That is wild. It's like you have to relearn how to drive by feel in a different way.
You do. Your brain has to adapt to new cues for chewing.
The sources also talk about misaligned bites as a major risk factor. This sounds like it goes back to the engineering.
It does. Implants are incredible at taking vertical force straight up and down. They love being pushed into the bone. What they hate is lateral force.
Being pushed from the side,
Yeah.
like rocking a fence post.
Yes. If your bite is off and your teeth grind sideways, that is kryptonite for an implant. It can loosen the parts, fracture the crown, or even cause bone loss around the implant itself.
So the source says these problems need to be fixed before placement.
Correct. You can't just drop an implant into a chaotic system. You often need orthodontics or some bite adjustment first to make sure the forces are directed properly.
This just reinforces that it's not a product you buy, it's a whole medical journey. And that journey continues after the surgery. The section on maintenance was pretty strict.
Yeah, there's this myth that because implants are made of metal, they're invincible. Titanium doesn't get cavities.
I mean, technically true, right?
True, but you can get peri-implantitis. It's the implant version of gum disease. Bacteria can still attack the gum and bone around the screw. And because there's less blood supply around an implant, once that infection starts, it can be very, very hard to stop.
So if you don't floss your metal tooth, the bone around it can rot away and the whole expensive thing falls.
Bluntly, yes. You have to maintain them as well as, if not better than, your natural teeth. Professional cleanings are absolutely non-negotiable.
So let's zoom out and recap. We started with a missing tooth.
We learned the solution is a titanium anchor that tricks your body into thinking the root is still there.
We learned this anchor saves your jawbone from shrinking and saves your other teeth from being ground down. But the trade-off is time. You have to respect that 3 to 6 month biological speed limit.
And you have to accept a change in how it feels. It won't feel exactly like the tooth you lost. It's a prosthetic, a very advanced one, but still a prosthetic.
A bionic upgrade, essentially.
It is, but I think the most important takeaway is the partnership. The dentist can place the perfect screw, but if the patient doesn't heal well, or doesn't follow the rules, or doesn't keep it clean, the engineering will fail.
We're still at the mercy of our own biology.
Exactly.
Here's a thought to leave you with. We talked about how the implant doesn't feel. We spend so much time worrying about how our smile looks, the aesthetics, the whiteness, but so much of eating, of talking, is sensory. If you replace your teeth with machinery, even amazing machinery, does it change your connection to your own body?
That's the philosophical edge of dentistry, isn't it? We can restore the function, but can we fully restore the feel?
Something to chew on. Carefully, if you're in that 3 to 6 month window. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, take care of your